Yeah.
I mean, they don't care anymore, do they?
I hate to bring a little bit of controversy to the show, but I think I completely disagree with the premise that just because these games were more sentence-driven, that the storyline was better. I think anyone who owns a PlayStation 3 or a modern gaming console or whatever else, the quality of the writing and the storytelling that goes into modern games, I think it would be remiss for us to assume that it's not particularly good compared to these games, because the work that goes into modern games is really, really good as well. And I think it's tempting as well for us to kind of look back to nostalgia and say, well, because the graphics were a little bit crap, the storylines must be way better.
I'm going to dissent a little bit, because I think there's a real focus now on first-person shooters and games, that are totally graphically focused, and so there is some of the story can take a backseat. You might, the office that I'm in right now was occupied until we moved in by a group of people who had written a LucasArts game. I think it was either Monkey Island or Sam & Max, but anyway, they'd written one of these style games, and they were creating a new vampire-based game, which they released. Beautiful graphics, story-driven. I don't think it sold very well. It was released last Halloween because people, the customers are not demanding story. They're demanding great graphics and exciting adventure.
I think a lot of it is dependent on the kind of game. So, like, comparing Monkey Island to something such
Far
as
Cry, say.
Yeah. It's comparing Monkey Island to something such as Unreal Tournament is like comparing apples and oranges.
Right,
But if you look at games like Silent Hill and BioShock,
was a wonderful game.
It's just remarkable, and even games like Modern Warfare are just really good.
But BioShock stood out because it was so different from what was being done out there. It really did have a storyline to it.
Hey, Eugene, how does this compare to a full emulator stack? In other words, could I just take one of these games that are on the original distribution?
Yeah.
Like a DOS box or something. How would this compare to that?
Well, first, ScummVM is not an emulator.
Okay.
Many people, they call it, but it is not. We have a couple of emulators, but those for the sound chips mostly. And ScummVM is re-implementation of a virtual machine, and we run it not emulator, but natively. Consider that those games, they are written with bytecode or with specially designed programming languages which have special commands for moving actor or putting an item into an inventory, etc., etc. And we run good on ARM 66 megahertz. That means Nintendo double screen console. So no emulators, they struggle there because of low power, low memory, etc. But since we are running natively, we have C++ in the engine, and we have definitely or a lot of lesser demand for CPU and memory. When DOS box, you can run well on your mobile phone or on your handheld, but you can run ScummVM pretty well almost everywhere on your microwave.
So rather than take the code for
that's good.
Yeah, great. Yes, I like that. So
finally, something to do with my microwave.
Rather than having the Scum code, whatever the specifics of the game are, then talk to the Scum original engine, which then translates it to DOS calls, which then has to go through a DOS emulator for your native operating system. You're sort of eliminating that third layer then.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
This would be great on the iPhone.
Yes, and ScummVM, and it works really great on iPhone.
Wow. So is there a ScummVM for iPhone on the?
Yes.
Oh wow, that's great.
There is ScummVM for PlayStation 3. It runs well there for in PlayStation 2 emulator mode. And there is ScummVM for Windows CE, for Symbianos. It's hard to tell where ScummVM doesn't run.
Yeah.
Does it run in ScummVM?
That's a little too recursive for me. I can't handle that. So, but again, what you're doing is you're recreating the engine that LucasArts used to create these games. So they were writing for an engine, and by recreating the engine, you've kind of.
In fact, we already finished recreating Scum engine like 5 years ago, and we moved to other engines. And what we do if a new platform is on the market, appears on the market, ScummVM is one of the first things which gets ported there, because the porting efforts are pretty minimal, like 2 weeks of work for a single programmer, and you get ScummVM running on a new platform, and that today it means you will run over 150 adventure games on your platform.
Is it written in C?
Yeah, C++. C++.
And did you have to reverse engineer the P code language, or did you have help from LucasArts in recreating this?
Well, if we'll talk about LucasArts, there were certain reverse engineering techniques. But we have about, I believe, 6 or 7 engines there, which we got original source code and we ported from the source.
So having the source code makes a huge difference.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I have a quick question in terms of, again, I used to love playing, some of the types of games. I remember around the time when people were beginning to put CD-ROM drives into their computers, and we started seeing all of these games coming out, like Under a Glass Moon and Seventh Guest. Yeah. I saw that Seventh Guest is supported. You know, these kinds of CD-based games, are they supported in ScummVM as well?
Seventh Guest is supported pretty well.
Wow.
Yeah. Under a Killing Moon, it's one engine which is being worked on, but slowly, because it is outside of the team. One particular guy, he appeared last year, and he told that he would like to work on it.
That's great.
And we have compatibility list on our website. Broken Sword games. Also, there is a Myst and Riven on work by one of the ScummVM developers. But again, it's not yet in the tree. And
so it's not just this Lucas engine. I mean, those are different engines, aren't they?
It was we added first non-LucasArts engine, I believe, in 2002, 7 years ago.
Okay.
We just keep ScummVM name because it became like a trademark today.
Right.
Everybody knows, and changing the name would give us nothing, but we will lose a lot of
people know it.
People know it. People use it, and it's not about Scum for us. There are about 20 Scum-based games, and 130 of other games supported by ScummVM are not Scum.
Now, somewhere in the FAQ, I saw that you aren't encouraging new development of Scum games because there's not any tools for that, and there are other engines like Z Machine for stuff like that. Is that true?
Yes, we don't encourage to develop for Scum engine particularly because Scum itself is trademarked. And we had in the past, and it's like a recurrent problem with LucasArts lawyers. They tried to shut down the project because they thought they thought that we are distributing their games, and our position and our policy, anti-piracy policy, it's helped us to save the project actually.
I see why you're so adamant about that then. Yeah.
And it looks like when they have a rotation of lawyers in LucasArts, they approach us. A new lawyer tries to approach us and say over again same things, and basically there is no violation of any law in any country with ScummVM so far, and that's why they did not succeed. And also recently there was a really interesting situation with Atari. Maybe you remember, you read about it. Mm-hmm. What they did, they took ScummVM and started to selling it under their own trademark.
That's terrible.
Yes, because it's not terrible to sell ScummVM, because sold out software, then goodoldgames.com, it's another service. They are selling ScummVM and they do it pretty good. But they comply to GPL. It's a GNU license, which ScummVM is under it. But those guys didn't. And what happened there? they apparently subcontracted work